All season long, you've had the opportunity to tell us what you want us to show on Friday night primetime, and this one, quite arguably, could be one of the most intriguing ones yet. The track that offers the opportunity for drivers to go faster than almost any other track on iRacing outside of Indianapolis and Talladega. It's arguably the fastest road course on the iRacing surface. And then we mix that up with some of the slowest cars as we bring you the Grand Touring Cup here tonight on Race.TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. We're going to start our coverage off by showing you a lap around this famous racetrack in one of the greatest cars ever made, the Pontiac Solstice.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Friday Night Primetime here on Racewell TV, streaming live on iRacing Live, and something I never thought I would say. Welcome to the Grand Touring Cup from Circuit de la Sarthe, historic, famous Le Mans. And yes, we are in the month of May, but of course June is all about Le Mans. And well, today track temp is 70 degrees Fahrenheit, humidity 25%, wind speed of 5 kilometers an hour. Qualifying is taking place as we speak. It's Wilmington along with Connery Maddock. And well, Connery, we're not quite sure how this one's going to pan out.
No, we definitely aren't. It certainly should be a very interesting one indeed, especially when you have the Pontiac Solstice doing around about, over 5-minute laps here. So they're only going to get a few laps during the course of this 40-minute race as the qualifying time starts coming at least for your Mustang field. Meanwhile, the Solstices are still coming down into Arnage, so they'll only be getting 1 qualifying lap. So this is, can't afford to make any mistakes in this qualifying lap because you won't be getting any more.
Yeah, indeed so. And of course, a part of this event as well, it is multi-class racing, so there's going to be a little bit of additional fun going on. 3 very interesting splits to deal with.
Yeah, indeed. You've got the Ford Mustangs, which are what you can say the fastest class here, and then you've got the Jettas, and then you've got the Solstices, which is had a little bit of a reputation of being the slowest car in iRacing, and well, it's going to be a lot of fun seeing these cars go down the Mulsanne straight. As there's still a couple of cars out on track doing their qualifying laps, but I gotta say, this is one of the first forays into multi-class racing that new drivers on the iRacing service get to experience. Of course, there's a series in the later rookies license where it's just the MX-5 and the Solstice, but this is the first time in this production car, in this Grand Touring Cup, that where you get 3 classes racing on track together, and that is such a huge part of iRacing and racing in the real world as well. And this is the first time that new iRacers get to experience it. But we don't have many new iRacers out there on track right now. We have some very experienced drivers indeed, like Adecopa Lopez, who set the fastest time in your Ford field.
Yeah, and I think they're just up for the challenge more than anything else, these drivers. The drafting is going to be the crazy thing, I think, though, here today.
Yeah, it really is, and that's one of the things that's going to keep the battling close, in fact, because you spend so much time on the throttle in some of these cars coming down the Mulsanne Straight that any distant tow is just going to bring you right towards the rear bumper of the car ahead of you, so that's definitely going to be an absolutely massive factor. I'm guessing, well, I predict that we're going to see some perhaps super speedway-like racing coming down the Mulsanne with the amount of drafting that's going to be going on.
Yeah. So qualifying is over. Let's run you through then your starting grid for this evening's event. As we'll get that now up on your screen. So we start off then with this, and just give us one moment, just having ourselves a minutia bit of an issue there. There we are. Starting grid up for you. We start off at Copa Lopez Ford Mustang 437.728. Pascal Inueki in second place. Timmy Ayres in third. Mika Schuster in fourth place. Didn't qualify in that Ford Mustang car. Then over to your Volkswagen Jettas. Simon Trendell pole position. Karen Klopman alongside him. Alexander Galahov and Joshua Bannister in fourth place. There's a remainder of your Jetta field up on your screen. And then finally, over to the Pontiac Solstice. Andre Loganoff pole position, Philippe Chauvin second, Dennis van der Schilt in third, Thomas Wetterswold in fourth. P number 5, Vicente Javier Frulis Americo, and then Philippe Skinny there at the rear of your class. Well, we are about ready to go racing, Connery.
Yeah, we are, and the cars are just gonna line up right here just before the Porsche curves, I think. So again, not too long until we get racing. Right now, it's going to be a 4-car field for your Ford Mustangs, a 7-car field for your Jettas, and a 6-car field for your Solstice. In total, 17 cars going to be out there on track. Let's hope we get all 17 cars towards the end of this race. But I gotta say, the middle of that Solstice field is looking very, very close right now. Chauvin, van der Schielt, and Thomas Westerwald, they are very, very close in terms of time. And remember, this is over the course of 5 minutes 17 seconds, so to be that close within a couple of tenths after 5 minutes and 17 seconds of a lap, well, that one is going to be definitely one to look out for over the course of this race. Yeah,
the field begins to pick up pace. There is Ade Copa Lopez, front of your field, just pulling off behind the iRacing first safety car. These guys thankfully don't have much to do in terms of a pace lap, otherwise we could be here quite a while, Connery, but they're actually, if I'm not very much mistaken, on the entry to the Porsche curves.
Yep, they are, and the pace speed is going to be 53 miles an hour, which is around about what Solstice's average speed is around here. I'm sorry, I'm going to make that cheap joke.
Yeah. So we're just having a look then. Field is going to split off. You've got your 3 different classes. There's the middle one. And actually, we are thinking that the VW Jettas are going to have the closest and best racing as we just talked about today.
Yeah, and well, there's a couple of cars in that field that actually did not qualify, the likes of Dennis Melchett, Gareth Measham, and Jerome Gouchard, of course, suffering for only having 1 lap in which to do that qualifying time. Any off-track, any instant point that you get over the course of that lap is null and void, and well, they didn't have enough time to do another lap, so they'll be looking to make their way through the field as we're just coming up towards the end of the Porsche curves right now, at least your Mustang field is, and we're going to get racing in around about 20 seconds.
Yeah, indeed so. So there is Ade Copa Lopez at the front of your field right now, getting ourselves ready to go racing here at historic Le Mans. Let's bring you to the start of this race then with RaceSpot TV fan immersion.
Yeah, it really does. And I was just watching the battle for P2 in your Jetta field. That was Alexander Galahov just getting past Simon Trendell. Simon Trendell dropping from pole position into that third place, so he hasn't had a great start to the race as they head their way on the exit of Tetra Rouge right now onto the Mulsanne for the first time. Well, let's see how this plays out. Yeah, lots of almost 3 wide action already, especially going in your Solstice field. In fact, they're going 2x2 for P1 through 4 right now. Will they go 3 wide coming down into the Michelin chicane? Chauvin has a good chance. If he just moves a little bit over to the right just to pick up a toe from Thomas Westerfield, are they going to head 3 wide? I think Chauvin may risk it coming down the inside here. Is he? No, he's just going to back up, but they're going to go 2x2 like Noah's Ark down into the Michelin chicane.
That slow park car almost run off track there, so they had a little bit of contact down into that Michelin chicane, as that did spread that field out a little bit. And now that Pontiac Solstice car has going to spend a little bit of time getting back up to speed. In terms of your Ford Mustang class, Team Arias right now in 3rd place. Nikita Schuers is in the 2nd place. But what you want to have a look at is the kind of speeds here, the draft range that they get as they head into some of these very long straightaways, heading down into Indianapolis right now. Arias, 3rd place. Half a second back from Nikita Schuers. Not going to be able to do anything, but what we do want to see, in fact, he might be able to do something there as he tucks back into line, is how these cars handle for the Porsche curve now.
Yeah, there isn't much error on these cars at all, so they're going to really struggle coming through the Porsche curves. As you said before, it's going to have to be all about keeping your momentum as much as possible through that section of track. So we look towards the Jettas. Here comes challenge for the race lead from Cohen Klopman on Simon Trendell. Klopman trying around the outside of Arnage. He actually gets a good run off for the corner, in fact, on this long run, and well, longer than usual run, I guess you could say, coming down towards the Indianapolis corner. So challenge for the race lead in your Jetta field. There might be a challenge for P3 as well from Melchat on Galilov as they just head down to, actually this is going to be the Porsche curves for the first time for your Jettas. They're going to head 2 wide coming through here. It's going to be very, very tricky to do in such low downforce cars, but they're going to make it work somehow. That's going to be Simon Trendell defending the race lead from Cohen Klopman. Cohen Klopman's just going to have to hang it around the inside, but this is all backing them up into Galilov, Mesham and Melchat as well. As look at that, they absolutely nose to tail coming through there.
They are, and now they'll come down towards the Ford chicane, and you just notice how little grip these cars have as we'll go on board then with that driver of Cohen Klopman. He is now right back on the rear of Simon Trendell. Battle for your race lead, and again, have a look at the speeds here. 120 miles an hour into the Ford chicane, but in cars like this, it's a little bit like the Skip Barbers. It's about how much speed you can carry through the corner. They've been down to about 55 miles an hour through the apex of the Ford chicane, building the speed back up again. And that is lap number 1 done of Circuit de la Sarthe. And we do have to say that your Mustang field has really spread out. Your Solstice field, however, that is a very, very different story, because you've still got 3 drivers separated within a second. And actually, the slowpoke car of Andrei Loganov is now back at the front of your field.
Yeah, they're just going to come across to complete the first lap. Well, for your Solstice field, 5 minutes, 33 seconds, 0.94. Your class leader in that Solstice field as he's trying to pull out that gap over Van der Shields. But that's going to be absolutely crucial for Andrei Loganov's race, just to try and break that toe. And that just absolutely negates any advantage that Van der Shield may have coming down the Mulsanne straight. And then if Loganov can do that, well, maybe he will already have at least one hand on the race-winning trophy coming towards the end of this race. But look at this in the Jetta field. Challenge for the race lead yet again. Klotman closing up right to the back of Simon Trudell. Are we going to go 3 wide down the Mulsanne? Yes, we are, for the race lead for your Jettas.
There we are. 3 wide for the race lead. In towards the Mulsanne chicane they come. I mean, the thing is, they can easily go about 7 wide, these cars down here. They're so hard low speed. The Lukoil, number 6 car, Alexander Galeoff there, does take the lead out of that corner as he now exits that. And again, let's go 3 wide as they now come down towards the Michelin chicane. It's kind of entertaining in some ways because we're going to Talladega in the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series. And, well, they're doing the same thing right now.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be a lot of 3-ride racing during that race, and there's a lot of 3-ride racing during this race as Galov's just going to back out of the 3-wide. Well, they can take some risks, but they're not going to take, massive risks going 3-wide, going down into one of the Mulsanne chicanes. But part of me wishes these 3 guys just slowed up and maybe try for a 4-wide with Mel Shirt back in the 4th place right there, but we'll have to wait and see.
As you'll notice that Simon Trudell gets a bit of a slower run there off the corner, but it all comes down then to the drafting speed. Clean diesel in these VW cars.
Is that a bit of bump drafting?
That is bump drafting. We stay on board with Galeoff there. In towards Mulsanne corner, and that was clearly bump drafting.
Yep, and that's going to mean that Gon Klotman actually pushes it a little bit wide into the kitty litter after the Mulsanne corner. But you mentioned Talladega, and well, we're going to be seeing a lot of bum drafting at Talladega as well. Yeah, that's interesting strategy there from Galilov. I'm not entirely sure how how effective it is in these Jettas, but he's not afraid to try it.
We're on board now with Andrei Loganov in the Pontiac Solstice right now here. As, well, they are heading themselves out of Mulsanne corner right now. And the gap between these 2 drivers is about half a second right now. And the drafting will just continue on. Again, the screen is going to go black for 5 seconds, just to let you know, ladies and gentlemen. Go on and take over.
Yeah, these guys are just going to head their way coming through on the run down towards Indianapolis. Loganov's not going to have, much of an opportunity maybe coming down into Indianapolis, but you can see just because of the amount of time that it takes these cars to get down these straights, Loganov is going to close up relatively close to the back of the race leader. But Chauvin behind, he's also going to close up as well as they head down to the brakes just for the little right-hand kink before in the left-hander of Indianapolis. And the top 3 for your Solstice field absolutely not quite nose to tail, but they're relatively close together. Meanwhile, the Jettas are still fighting side by side for the race lead between Simon Trudell and Alexander Galilov coming down through the Porsche curves. And Galilov is going to try a little bit of a cut back there through one of the curves of the Porsche curves. Not going to make it work though, as he's absolutely harassing the rear bumper of Simon Trudell. And then Gon Klotman may have an opportunity coming down into the Ford chicanes if Galilov isn't too careful. Meanwhile, Melcher is he's just sitting and waiting in that 4th position right now. Galilov is just going to step out of line a little bit, just coming on the run to the entry to the Ford chicanes, but he's not going to make a move just yet as they file single file coming through the last couple of corners of the circuit to the side.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It will come down to who can be the bravest. And, you know, in some ways, I start thinking about the classic Monday Night Skippy Series races that we had when these drivers did have to spend a lot of time just waiting in line and being patient. And I think the same thing is going to have to apply here today. These guys know that they've got to get themselves to the end of this motor race, but to do so, you can't fall back. And the fastest way to actually navigate this racetrack at point is to go 3 wide and use the draft to help each other. And people say, oh, they're just putting on the show. Well, actually, they're not. They are actually racing for position, and at the same time, Connery, they are actually trying to find the fastest way around this racetrack. Because we've been talking about, you know, NASCAR, I'm going to talk one more time about something else. Competition.
Sorry, what was that? I didn't quite hear that.
Co-opetition.
Petition?
Co-opetition. You don't watch enough NASCAR, do you?
I don't. I race it a little bit, but I don't know quite enough about it.
We'll brief you on it afterwards. Team Aries there versus Nicholas Lewis then. This is a battle going on for second place. And one thing worth noting, Anacopa Lopez has massively broken away in terms of your field. And now overshooting is Team Lewis. And that's going to cost him second place and maybe the draft if he's not careful.
Yeah, it's actually just going to retire that car, in fact. Just going, well, straight on at one of well, that's the Michelin chicane on the Mulsanne Straight, and now he's just retired the car. So now it's going to be a 3-horse race for your race win in terms of your Ford Mustang field. But that was a really weird incident indeed, as we see Timmy Ayers and Iannucci. They're going to go side by side for what is going to be effectively P2 and P3 for your Ford Mustang field, because Lewis has now dropped out of the race.
It literally is the case now in that Ford field. You get a podium, you get a podium, you all get a podium. Anacopa Lopez, Pasquale Iannucci, and Team Aries had 1, 2, and 3 after Nicholas Lewis has pulled that car onto pit road with some issues that we're not quite sure of. 1, 2, 3. Are we going to get 4 wide in the Jetta class? There's a big gap there, but it's not being taken right now by 4th place Dennis McCart there. And he now thinks about it and ducks back into line. You know what? That reminds me of the M25 rush hour.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't know, the M25 is the ring road that goes around London, and it's very, very busy indeed, especially around rush hour, and that is what is basically happening down the Mulsanne, and maybe on the run coming out of Arnage right now. If Melchett can maybe make it 3 wide again, this is going to be for P2 this time, but Simon Trudell is dropping back a little bit as these guys just draft off of each other. As you said, super speedway stuff, Talladega stuff. Are we going to see 4 wide coming through here? Melchett has to be very, very brave. It's actually Coleman's trying to try and... Yeah, Coleman just tried to block him on the inside line, just in that little right-hand kink there. That was a very weird situation indeed. I think Trendell's going to back out of this one.
Oh, my word, Dennis. This is literally like the M25. We could be showing you photos of the M25 right now. It's, what, 8 o'clock? Yeah, it'd still be that busy. But the thing is, of course, is that the Mulsanne straightaway is actually wider. As we've got contact, we've got problems right now, and that is Karen Klotman then, who took a bit of a beating in his car and as a consequence falls down to 4th place in his class. But the Mulsanne straightaway is fast, is wider even than that run from Mulsanne down into Indianapolis and Arnage. That is one thing worth noting. He can do 6, 7 funny wide down on the Mulsanne straightaway. You can't do it on the run from Mulsanne to Indianapolis and from Arnage through to the Porsche curves.
Nah, it doesn't look like that's the case as they head their way through the Porsche Gibbs. This is going to be for the 3rd time, and we're coming up to around about 5 minutes until we're around about halfway through this race. As we just have a little bit of a look back down to the Solstice field, it is Dennis van der Schielt is going to be the current class leader in that one, with Andrei Loganov not too far behind, as well as Philippe Chauvin. So again, it's going to be a 3-car race for the race lead relatively shortly in your Solstice field. They're going around about at this stage, just going to hit 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers per hour on this run coming down towards the Porsche Caves. Will Loganov make a move coming down into here? Nope, he's just going to coast behind and just back off. And Chauvin, is he going to do the same? I think he's a little bit too far back to be making a move, but these top 3 are absolutely stacked together in your Solstice field.
As Loganov does get a better run on the exit of the Porsche curves. Or it looked like he did at one point, actually. But now you just see the dirty air comes into play in these Pontiac Solstices. Final part of the Porsche curves, and Loganov Actually, no, he does get a better run. You see, he can now set himself up, but no, he stays behind. He could easily have dove that car down to the inside, in towards the Ford chicane. He decided not to, however. As Gallagher versus Trendell, that one continues. It's worth noting that Dennis Melkart has really dropped off the pace of those 4 drivers. I will go on board of him actually for a few moments to see whether he can close back up. In the meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, the month of May means one thing to us, and it's Indy. And our first of 3 Indy 500 telecasts comes this coming Sunday. It is the Apex Infotech Indy Elite Series Indy 500, and that'll be this Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That is midnight in the United Kingdom. The week after that, we've got ourselves a Classic IndyCar Series Indy 500. That'll be also here on Racebot TV. That'll be in, I say, just under a week and a half. That'll be on Sunday 14th, and that'll be at 6 p.m. GMT. And then finally the big one, the 8th annual iRacing Indianapolis 500, the 20th of May. Join us for the greatest spectacle in sim racing, as we have never had a 2-time winner of the iRacing Indy 500. Some of the big names come out to play once again. We have heard rumours, Connery, that includes the likes of Kawanda and Kroenke.
I hadn't actually heard that rumor, but if that is true, that would be very, very interesting indeed. One of the most dominant drivers in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series turning up for the Indy iRacing Indy 500. You could draw parallels to Alonso turning up for the real life Indy 500, but well, some people will hate me for making that comparison between a real life legend and a sim racing legend, as they're going to head 3 wide again in your Jetta field for the race lead.
Yeah, it is worth noting, though, that Dennis Melkart in the 4th position is now 2.3 seconds back, so he really has fallen out of that one. It's a 2-horse race as well in your Pontiac Solstice field right now. Andre Loganoff versus Dennis van der Schilt. That is going out for your race lead, and van der Schilt is, well, holding on, shall we say, to that race lead, but not by much.
No, and Loganov is basically letting him have the race lead right now. You just see every single time that Andrei Loganov gets an opportunity to make some sort of a draft pass coming down the Mulsanne, actually he's going to push wide there, coming through one of the last of the Mulsanne chicanes right there. And that's going to cost him time. It's going to cost him, most importantly, momentum coming out of the corner. So, well, that's definitely something he doesn't want to be doing. Meanwhile, it is at the top of your Jetta field. This is absolutely crazy stuff. They're going 2 wide, 3 wide, pretty much every other corner, and it's kind of hard to keep track of. They're just basically just sharing the race lead. No, you have it, no, you have it, and they might go 3 wide yet again here.
Yeah, let's look at them. Precision Sim Racing car number 3 on the right-hand side of the track right now. Number 6 machine, Alexander Galahoff, is going to do bump draft engaged on the number 2 machine, O'Connor Klotman, as they come down into the Porsche curbs. The issue of that is you have got to be careful here, because you don't want to push the driver into the kitty litter as they come in towards the Porsche cars, because, well, that essentially would be their race over.
Yeah, but coming towards the last lap, as actually we just saw Simon Trindle just graze a little bit of the wall coming through the middle section of the Porsche curves. I was about to say we may see something like we saw last season at Watkins Glen in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Coming through the last corner is actually more contact between Simon Trindle and Alexander Galalov. This is just going to let Colton Klotman get away just a little bit, but not enough to be able to break the toe as they head down onto the brakes for the Ford chicanes. Galalov relatively deep on the brakes, manages to make both apexes though, as he carries a good amount of momentum through there. He's already catching your race leader yet again, but messes up kind of the exit of the last part of the Ford chicanes, giving Simon Trindle an opportunity to make this draft pass coming down the pit straight. Yeah, let's go back though to your Ford Mustang field, because Kobe Lopez is just flying away right now, literally flying away. We'll put the lap chart data up, and well, he was 2.3, 2.9 and 1.8 seconds faster over the last 3 laps. Yeah, and in terms of iRating, he's the highest rated driver in this field, around about 8100 iRating, and he's the only one that has a, well, he's the only one that has a pro license. So I think we should have really come to expect this, even if Mika Schuis hadn't have retired the car. I think at a couple overs would have been absolutely off and away. And well, there's really no one, there's really not much anyone can do about him at this moment in time. 12.2 seconds is the gap between himself and second place last time by, and that gap is just increasing second by second. It's up to around about 13.2 seconds on the relative timings right now, and well, there's absolutely no stopping him right now.
Back in your Solstice field, you note the fact that Loginov had a good lap, bad lap, good lap, but then behind, Chauvin has really caught up over the last lap and a half or so. Let's see whether that's going to be the same. Gap is 1.4 seconds as they cross the line. He's got to do a little bit more Chauvin, and the draft is huge. But the thing is, there's not much speed to gain through the draft, and that's the thing here, Connery. You're not going to gain 20, 30 miles an hour here. It'll be 4, 5, 6 miles an hour maximum. And then you still got to make sure that you're hard onto the brakes and keep that advantage going through the braking phase, through the acceleration phases of the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Although you can make the case that you can say, oh, well, 5 or 6 miles an hour over the course of a long straight such as Mulsanne is still a relatively decent advantage that you're getting because of the toe. And, well, these front two Solstices are still kind of just, well, Loginov, as I said before, he's just letting Van der Schielt have the race lead, and he's going to figure out where is the best place to make a pass, well, coming onto the last lap. You saw he had the run, but he just lifted out of it, backed out of it, and he's just going to let Van der Schielt, well, just log some, well, laps led here. And it's something we see in the Monday Night Skibbies as well. It's, especially on draft tracks, the race at the front is more figuring out where you want to be at certain points on the last lap. Of course, you want to be first across the finish line. That one's a given. But you don't always want to be in first place coming across the line to start the final lap.
Yeah, I just want to replay something. Just for a moment. Yeah, let's listen in. If you heard that, that was lifting and coasting of a proportion I've never seen. Loginov does not want the lead of this motor race right now. And part of that is, there is a rumour that maybe the Solstices will be a little bit light on fuel here today.
Yeah, that could certainly be the case, and well, if that is indeed the case, then Van der Schielt must be very, very worried right now, because he's running in clean air all the way down the Mulsanne. Loginov is absolutely refusing to get back past him to allow Van der Schielt to that pleasure of fuel saving. So that could certainly be an interesting one coming towards the end of this race. Will Van der Schielt have to, well, have to dive down pit road to maybe top off a little bit with the fuel? That's going to be an interesting story. Well, if that rumor is true. Meanwhile, Chauvin, he is not, well, looking at the lap times, he actually lost 0.2 of a second last time by, so just bit by bit he's dropping back off of these front two cars. And well, if that trend continues, then he's going to lose all benefit of the toe, and maybe losing the benefit of any fuel saving if he does.
But he did gain himself back to within 1 second because of, I'm going to call them the interesting antics of Andrei Loginov right now. Gallagher versus Trendell, second place in class. They are single file through the Porsche curves right now. And you've got to remember that these VW Jettas, they are an animal to get around any track. They're an animal to get around anything that's got the Porsche curves, because they are high-speed corners, and these cars just simply aren't designed for that.
Yeah, absolutely minimal aerodynamic downforce on these cars, and that is just absolutely exemplified when they're coming through the Porsche, because they're absolutely on the edge of grip. The tires will be screaming for release, and it's just not going to happen. And they just have to, well, they just have to manage those tires coming through there, just carry as much momentum as possible, and then deal with the tires afterwards, you could say. And well, again, this is going to be a 3-horse race for your lead of your Jetta field, as it has been for for the vast majority of this race. Melchett has really dropped off the pace now. He's not getting any of the draft off to the front three drivers, and I had to look back. It was because just a couple of laps ago he had a slow down penalty coming through the Dunlop chicane that just put him out of draft range, and that is what has happened to that driver of the number 8 machine.
Yeah, and now he's in that interesting situation. Is Dennis Melchett, does he push it and try and get back into contention, or does he just settle for P4, remembering that all the guys behind him have got higher car numbers, therefore lower iRating. The guys ahead of him have got higher iRating than him.
Yeah, exactly, and well, it would be a relatively decent result, 4th place in what is a very, very strong field, one of the strongest fields I believe the Grand Touring Cup will have ever had in the history of iRacing. So it's not a bad result at all coming 4th place, but I think he'll be wanting more. He'll be wanting that podium, and if these guys at the front start fighting even more viciously than they already have been doing, then he might be brought back into the contention as these guys slow each other up. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, Melchett there runs himself in that 4th place still, and you can see that at top speed it isn't high in any of these cars here today. Logging off versus Van der Schilt. Let's go back on board with him. Van der Schilt is, I think he's led every lap, to be honest, but that's because Loganoff has not pushed for that race lead in that number 5 car. I do have to say, I do love the livery of that number 5 machine. Solstice, Slowstice, Slowstice, Slow. Slow plate, slow.
Very simple words and very few words to sum up what the Solstice is all about.
Yeah. Well, there we can see that number 5 machine as he heads himself through the S's towards Tetaru's corner. Let's go on board then with him for a moment. Give you a little bit of Racebot.TV fan immersion. Meanwhile, in your VW Jetta TDI Cup car, Klotman versus Trendell versus Gallagher. The 3 drivers continue to put away from 4th place, and it's Melchett right now. Trendell does look racy. They've all had a couple of scrapes here and there. There's been a little bit of bump drafting going on as well. And, well, what much else is there to say apart from the fact that, oh, another tag there for Trendell into Porsche curves.
Yeah, you say another tap. It isn't the first time that he's done that. Sparks fly as he grazes across that wall, but it's not going to slow him down too much. But if he does that on the final lap in a crucial battle with either Klotman or Galhov, well, that may be his race lost right there if he does that on the final lap. But well, he's just absolutely riding the back bumper coming into the Ford chicanes here. Has to be very careful on the brakes not to run into the back of your race leader. But they all get through there just fine as Galhov again again, just having to not run into the back of Simon Trendell. There's actually Galahov getting a good run out of the final corner, and he is likely going to get this position, or maybe not. He's going to do a little bit of bump drafting, just get a move on right here. Simon Trendell, let's go and get that race leader of Cohen Klotman. And now you just see Simon Trendell now has the momentum coming up into the Dunlop chicane. Not going to take it though, not enough to make his move down the inside.
There's Aleco Lopez, Ford Mustang. Of course, the Ford Mustang and iRacing has always had two uses here, Connery. It's got the one that we've used in the car, and then we've got the one that we use as the iRacing safety car. So for many, many years, iRacers may not have even driven the Ford Mustang, but the Ford Mustang has basically been a part of almost every race they have done.
Yeah, exactly, and I believe it was also featured in one of the 2.4 hours of Daytona. So
yep.
it has been there on the big stage in terms of iRacing, and well, here it is again now on our Friday primetime slot. And Aleco Lopez is looking to be very, very likely to be the race leader. I'm not going to say it's for certain just yet. As you know, in racing, anything can and does happen. Meanwhile, for the race lead, Cohen Klotman's been bump drafted by Galahov, and now Galahov is going to, well, just try and squeeze his way on the left-hand side, the driver's left-hand side of the track. Not going to happen, though, as they're all very tentative on the brakes coming down into the chicane, trying not to run into the back of each other. I have to say, this has been relatively clean racing for your top three positions in your Jetta field. Yes, there's been a few taps, a little bit of door banging, but that's what we come to expect when you have low downforce tin-top cars like these. That's always going to happen. It's kind of like dirt racing on the ovals.
Yeah, we go on board then with the driver of Galahov. He bumps Klotman. Now he's trying to look for the race lead. I don't think he's going to get there. But they stay side by side for the moment. Galahov, will he get the line? Yes, he does actually. Move Galahov to the point. And also, you are right, they used it for the 2.4 hours of Daytona. The other car in that class was the rolling Daytona prototype. So you can imagine the speed differential between those two cars, the Ford Mustang and the Riley Daytona prototype, on the high banks of Daytona.
Yeah, it must have been an absolutely huge speed difference. Well, not quite like the one that Simon Trendell has right now on both of P1, P2 in your Jetta class. Will he make a move down the inside of both of these cars coming down into the Mustang corner? He's going to try it. He's going to go, well, moderate on the brakes right there. Not too late, not too early. And he's going to try and make two passes in one corner. Not going to make it work, though, as we're going to go 3 wide yet again in the Jetta field. This is Galahov, Trendell, and Cohen Klotman giving on a good show right here. But also, as you said before, this is also tactical, figuring out where you want to be on the final lap, apart from coming across the start-finish line.
Yeah, we've also got ourselves Dennis Melkart in the 4th place, Gareth Meeson in 5th, and Jerome Bouchard there in the 6th place. These two have been having a bit of a battle the last lap or so. P5, P6 in your Jetta class. We've got a battle going on then. P1, 2, and 3 are still close in your Solstice class. And part of that reason is because Loganov has refused to basically go for that race lead. And let's pull the graphic up and let's show you one of those reasons why. The gap is 4 minutes 4 seconds right now between themselves and Simon Trendell, the race lead. If these cars were to be lapped, then there would be no issue at all. They'd be easily good to go on fuel. But as it stands, we do believe that they might have to just lift and coast a little bit, but we'll see a lot more from them on the final lap of this event. There's Aleco Lopez, 21.9 seconds out of the battle between himself and Pascal Eniucci, but the big battle still remains. P1, 2, 3 in your Jetta class, as we go on board with Trendell for a moment here on Racebot TV. Oh! I do like the fact we just saw Simon Trendell there get at least a wheel off the ground and basically just carry on.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like to be a huge amount of damage to that VW Jetta right there. Well, there may be some suspension damage that we can't exactly see in these tin top guys, unlike the open wheelers, but we'll have to see how it goes as well. Three wide yet again coming down the pit straight. I don't think Simon Trudell is badly hurt by that contact, but that was definitely a scary moment. They're going to head to coming into the Dunlop chicane. They'll have trying an optimistic move around the outside, but not going to work as they head under the Dunlop bridge.
Don't forget, tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, is the third round of the Blanc Pain GT Series here on Racesport TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. It is the 3 hours of Silverstone. Corson Racing have had a P1 and a P2, but last time out, Coanda were back at the top of their mountain. We'll find out after 3 hours of Silverstone who really has got the chance to go for the championship of team racing. The Blanc Pain GT Series on Racesport TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Catch it tomorrow, a part of a mega weekend worth of racing that also includes the Apex Infotech Indy Elite Indy 500. On to the Mulsanne straightaway once again. Worth noting, there's Adecopa Lopez. White flag will be out next time past the strike.
Yeah, that looks to be the case. Adecopa Lopez has been doing 4 minutes, 38.5 second laps. And well, we've only got 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in this race, so it's going to be white flag next time by for your race leaders. Now, how close are they to the race leaders in your Solstice field? Actually, that's Dennis van der Shields. He's right ahead of Adecopa Lopez. Look, they're both in one shot, both in one corner. And now where is Andrei Loganov? Wow. He's just coming past pit entry, and actually Loganov is in the race lead right now. Yeah, I just got that a little bit wrong. So something has happened to Dennis van der Shields.
Yeah, he's lost a second aside from our screen. And this is what a lot of these drivers were hoping for, that they were going to. And this is a weird thing. I want to get lapped, but this is one of those weird situations where they do want to get lapped. And well, Adecopa Lopez, by the looks of it, may well put some smiles on some faces here. And I don't think that, because of Loganov spent a lot of time fuel saving, I'm not sure how much the number 9 machine has been able to do here today. Has he actually done enough, or is he just waiting until Copa Lopez gets by? Or, more importantly, is he playing his own mind games, because the Mulsanne straightaway is going to come up now for these two drivers. And don't forget, even though we've got the Klotman versus Trendell versus Gallagher battle, this battle will finish first, Connery, because they're going to get lapped by that driver of Adecopa Lopez.
Yep, that definitely looks to be the case. Basically all in one camera shot right now. Solstice just head through Tetraroos, and now Adecopa Lopez heads through Tetraroos. That is the gap between those two cars, and we're going to look at the speed difference here coming down the Mulsanne straights. The Solstice are currently hitting around about 115 miles an hour, and Adecopa Lopez is already going around about 137 miles an hour. Look at the speed difference between himself and Philippe Chauvin. Dives towards driver's left-hand side of the track, and that is basically the speed difference you get between GT3 cars and LMP1 cars.
Yeah, even though these aren't GT, these are what we'll call these, there is a technical definition for them, so I'm going to get shot for knowing this, but, you know, that was a 20 mile an hour advantage, but now they've been lapped, that means that they are now both guaranteed to be good on fuel. 1 minute 13 then remaining on the play clock, and for these two, it is game on. Yes, Trendell versus Gallagher versus Klotman is going on. You can see that one on the left-hand side of your screen right now. But Loganov versus Chauvin is the one that will come past the stripe first, Connery.
Yes, it will, and Chauvin not going to be close enough coming down into the Michelin chicane, but coming down into Mulsanne, coming down into the Indianapolis corner, coming down into the Porsche curves. He's still a lot of opportunities to go before this race ends for these two leading Solstices, as he's going to follow relatively closely coming through the Michelin chicane. And now he's got to be thinking, where is he going to make his move? Is he going to be down into Mulsanne? Is he going to be down into Indianapolis, Arnage, or the Porsche curves? Or if he's feeling really desperate, into the Ford chicanes as a last lap dive. But this is going to be the one that we're going to be watching first, as you said, because the Jettas are a little bit behind. We may have a couple of extra minutes to cover that battle at the end of this race once this Solstice battle finishes. And here comes Chauvin, maybe around these. He's going to have to go around the outside of the Mulsanne Mulsanne corner. It's going to be side by side for your Solstice race lead on their final lap of the race. And very tentative on the brakes is Chauvin, just tapping them, just dabbing them as they're going to head too wide coming through the Mulsanne corner. And oh, there's going to be a little bit of a power slide from Loganov to the race lead for well, what feels like one of the first times during the course of this race, just defending that race lead from Chauvin. But this isn't over yet, and we've still got a couple more opportunities that Chauvin has to get into that race lead yet again.
Yeah, on board the Klotman briefly. Time has expired here then in this round of the Grand Touring Cup. Klotman in third, Trendell in second, Galahoff in first. We have also got your battle going on for your race lead in your Pontiac Solstice class. We're going to flick between them, these two classes, as and when we see the action happening. In a moment, it is going to be in your VW Jetta field as they head themselves through Teta Rouge onto the Mulsanne for the final time. And well, now Connery, it is flat out.
Yep, it is, and Klotman's a little bit too far off the back of this pack for my liking, but that's going to be not an issue when they come down into Mulsanne corner, as Simon Trendell is going to make it side by side for your race lead in your Jetta field. Meanwhile, the Solstice field still not all that close as they come towards the end of their race, so this Jetta field is the only one that is currently having an active fight right now, as they're going to be heading down onto the brakes into the fist of the Mulsanne chicanes just right about now. Almost a little bit of door banging as they come through there.
Yeah, Adecopa Lopez, Ford Mustang class then, is going to head himself towards the Ford chicane to claim victory in the overall classifications here. And of course, therefore, also in your Ford Mustang field here today, Copa Lopez will head himself through the Ford chicane. Adecopa Lopez wins out here at Le Mans. He will take the overall victory, just like Ford did that year when they started their dominant run of victories 50 years ago. Loganov versus Chauvis. It looks like it's going to be Loganov who's going to claim that battle. We go on board of him into the Ford chicane. Second part of the Ford chicane. And Andrei Loganov will win out in your Pontiac Solstice class. Bit of an anticlimax at the end. We thought Chauvin would have been closer. He wasn't. But we still got 3 cars in your VW Jetta field who are ready to do battle. And we're on board with the third one in class, and that is Simon Trendell. And they still got a bit of racing to go.
Yep, they have, and it's going to be side by side for the race lead on the final lap, coming through the Mulsanne corner, but Cohen Klotman's just going to have to file in behind. And again, are we going to see 3 wide for the race lead on the final lap for your Jetta field? Jetta field is looking very, very likely. Here comes Cohen Klotman, driver's left-hand side of your race leader. Now, where is Simon Trendell going to file in just before Indianapolis corner? Is he going to be able to make it 3 wide? That is the question coming into Indianapolis corner. He has the momentum, definitely. Is he going to risk it coming down driver's right-hand side, or is he going to sling one down the middle? It's going to be driver's right-hand side for Simon Trendell, and it's going to be 3 wide for the race lead in your Jetta field on the run down towards Indianapolis. Galhoff is going to back out of it. It's going to be 2 wide coming through the right-hand kink. Simon Trendell, big power slide coming through the entries of the corner. Cohen Klotman through to the race lead, but this still isn't over as Simon Trendell tries a little bit of a cutback coming through there. Galhoff also still has an opportunity coming towards the final section of the lap.
And then a big push there by the number 2 car over the curve, and that means that everything's going to be changed around once again. Trendell does still technically lead your way in your class. Galahoff lead, Trendell second, Klotman third, but we still got now the Porsche curves to go. And are they going to be brave enough to go side by side, maybe even 3 wide for these sequence of corners? Well, you'll see Trendell is on the left-hand side of your screen. Right-hand side of your screen. It's Cohen Klotman on the left-hand side. Bottom of your screen, number 6 car is Alexander Galahoff, who started this lap in first position. But as they work themselves through the Porsche curves, it is currently Simon Trendell now who leads the way. Will he keep that momentum up as they exit the Porsche curves and head themselves towards the Ford chicane? It will take a big lunge now for Cohen Klotman to make the move as they come down in towards Ford. Not yet. Maybe there might be a bump at the end. Trendell heavily over the curbs. And a caution there. The two drivers come together at the very end of the race. Simon Trendell will win. It will be Gallagher second, Klotman in third. Our fireworks come at the end, and Klotman is not happy with that one.
Yeah. And that was a very, very, very hopeful move coming down the inside of the final corner for Alexander Gallov. I had a feeling that was going to be inevitable, seeing how close they were coming out of the Porsche curves. A blocking move from Cohen Klotman coming down, just the middle of the little straight between the two, between the end of the Porsche curves and the start of the Ford chicanes. And I gotta say, that was a very hopeful move for Alexander Gallov, perhaps a little bit too hopeful. Cohen Klotman was, he was apologizing over the driver radio, but then his actions after the race suggested that he wasn't happy about that one. Maybe if he has a race interview after this, maybe he can explain what's happened there.
Yeah, let's get ourselves one more look at that one. From our aerial coverage brought to you by And1 Design, the official graphics partner of Racebot TV. And here we are then. We'll focus it on these two drivers. There was a block first, and then another block, almost, there by Cohen Klotman. And then a lunge by Gallagher. Two cars come together. Gallagher comes home in P number 2. Klotman's like, you know what? I'm not too happy with that.
No, I don't think I would be either. And you could say, oh, well, maybe Cohen Klotman was moving towards the inside to maybe challenge for the race lead, but that would have been a very, very hopeful lunge down the inside of Simon Trendell. So I think Simon Trendell was relatively safe coming into the Ford chicanes. If this was an FIA sanctioned series, shall we say, then that's going to be more than two defensive moves for Cohen Klotman. But that is not always how it works here in iRacing. But a very controversial end to the Jetta race.
Adacopa Lopez then wins out in terms of your Ford Mustang field. Also set the fast lap of the day, 4 minutes 38.2. 31-second lead in the end over Pascal Iannucci. We'll talk about the win by Adacopa Lopez in a couple of moments' time. So iRacing third, Vic Yoshuis in the 4th position. Cohen Klotman wins out in your Jetta field by about 9 seconds in the end over Dennis Melkart. That's not entirely what we were seeing, but we just want to keep an eye out on those scores and see whether there's anything that happened after your motor race. And then there is your field in terms of the Pontiac Solstice field. Andrei Loganov, Philippe Chauvin, Dennis van der Schut. In terms of that one, we're going to step aside for a couple of moments here on Racebot TV. We'll be back with confirmation of results and more after these messages. You're watching Racebot TV on iRacing Live.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
The NASCAR Beginner Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a three-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and yes, these are the final results. Colin Klotman wins out in your VW Jetta field, and the reason for that one is we think that we had a bit of a situation at the end of the event when Simon Trindle decided to go a little bit too far off track there, Connery.
Yeah, this was coming through the first Ford chicane. The first apex was completely and utterly fine, but he kind of struggles to make the second apex of the first of the Ford chicanes. And as you can see, well, I don't know if you have a replay here, Will, but he's got all 4 tires over the white line. And, well, the track limits are relatively strict here at the Circuit of the South. And, well, he's not going to be able to serve that slowdown penalty in the final remaining corners unless he puts the anchors on, so to speak. So that means he's going to get a penalty at the end of the race for exceeding the track limit. So that means that Colin Klotman, despite being basically wrecked out in the final of the 4 chicanes, and coming across the line 3rd, that means he's going to end up winning this race. Alexander Galahov is also going to get a end of the race penalty for track limits as well because of that hopeful move down the inside of the final 4 chicanes. Again, he's he's going across the white line, all 4 tires off. That means that's going to be a slowdown penalty, and that means Colin Klotman wins. Then it's going to be Melchett, and then it's going to be Gareth Mersham, top 3 Jetta field.
Well, there you are. There's the explanation. And, well, been what we call an interesting Friday night prime time. We didn't think we were going to have to spend as much time talking about the off-track penalties and regulations as we did the on-track, Connie, but overall, still been a good race.
Yep, it was an absolutely fantastic race overall, especially in that Jetta field where they're going. I'm pretty sure someone's going to go and check afterwards, but I think we went 3 wide every single lap, which is more of what you see in NASCAR rather than tin top road racing. But well, it just happened right there, and well, we have a couple of more weeks of Race Spot Friday to primetime, and if we can vote for something that's as crazy or if not more crazy than that, then I'm up for it.
Right. These are the series that you can vote for next week. The Global Mazda MX-5 Cup, the iRacing Grand Touring Cup, the Roof GT3 Challenge, the Advanced Mazda MX-5 Cup Series, Grand Prix Legends, iRacing Formula Renault, iRacing V8 Supercar Series, the Camel GT Championship, the Porsche iRacing Cup, Pro Mazda Championship, the Radical Racing Championship, and the iRacing Classic Lotus GP. Who do you think it's going to be, Connie?
Ooh, I don't know. Since we're getting so late into the season right now, all of the big series have pretty much had their time to shine. and we're getting to that point where we're getting some really obscure stuff in. So I know a couple of the guys in the UK nightclub really want the Radicals broadcasted, but I don't know if they have critical mass of votes to be able to make that happen. But it's up to our lovely viewers, and wherever they choose, we'll broadcast it, and we gotta hope it's an absolutely fantastic race like the one we just seen.
Second place last week was the Porsche iRacing Cup, so that is likely to be the favourite heading in. But one thing that's worth noting, we've not had an open wheel car so often in this campaign. So I think the question is going to be, are we going to have Porsche, or are we going to have something open wheel, or are we going to go old school? You know, there's that potential to go old school with the Camel GT Championship. And well, first of all, I'm having a look, and the Porsche Cup's back here at Le Mans next week. 6 laps. Just saying.
We could be having second to the sub twice in a row. That would be a very interesting thing to happen. But as I said, if it's as good as this race has been, then just bring it.
In terms of the Camel GT Championship, they were at Mount Panorama this week. They're at Donington next week. You know what? That sounds amazing.
It does sound amazing. Are they running the GP layout or the national layout? I'm not entirely sure on that one. But either way, the Grand Prix layout. Okay, so that will be interesting. I wouldn't be complaining if our viewers voted for that at all. No.
Talk about Radical Racing Challenge, as it's officially known here on iRacing. Next week, they are going to be heading themselves to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Not the best track for that series. I would actually argue that they'd want to put all their eggs into the week after at Circuit Spa Francorchamps, or the week after that at Summit Point.
Yeah, that could definitely be an option, but there was talk of that doing that for the race that we just had. Some of the Grand Touring Cup guys, some of the regulars didn't really want this race at Le Mans. They were just hoping that it was for a later race. But again, sometimes because the track is not the greatest for the series, doesn't mean that there can't ever be a great race there.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, some of the best series we've ever seen, when they're like Skippy's at Sonoma, for example, you never think that's going to be a good track. They go 4 wide everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes strange things can happen in motorsport, and well, that's just the way it is sometimes, I guess. Yeah,
and finally, in terms of one of the other big series that we think may well get the shoe in next week, currently they are at Silverstone in the Formula Renault 2.0 Championship. Next week, they head themselves to my favourite road racing venue, Circuit Girona.
Yeah. I think that's going to be definitely one of the favourites coming into next week, because again, it's one of the tracks on the Formula One calendar, and it's the Formula Renault Sport Race, etc., etc. So, I think that's definitely going to be the favourite. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have Formula Renault next week. It's one of the big series that we haven't covered just yet. In fact, maybe the only series with a decent amount of participation that we haven't covered yet. So definitely the favourite going into next week. But again, I don't know. We've had Grand Touring Cup this week. Anything can happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Friday Night Prime Time. You get to choose what we broadcast on Friday night. So this time next week, Connery and myself will be back here. We don't know what we're broadcasting. You get to choose. But this has been a RaceSpot TV presentation of the Grand Touring Cup from Circuit to the South. Welcome to the month of May here on RaceSpot TV. Good night.